Many assume that skateboarding is only for young people, and that might be somewhat true. But as time has gone on and skateboarding has developed, more and more of these young skaters kept on pushing even as they got older, which has led to more and more older skaters in the scene. As much as we'd like to pretend that all skaters are the same, these are some things that only old skaters understand. Having a constant injury. Pretty much every skater gets hurt at some point, but having some type of constant injury is something that every older skater can relate to. Whether it be their head, shoulders, knees, or toes, skaters who've been at it for a while normally have at least one injury that they just can't fix.
I'd say knee pads are critical because when you get a knee injury, your knee explodes and then you're out of work and everyone busts your balls and tells you you're too old to skate.
Of course, not all older skaters have an injury, but skateboarding is rough on your body, so the people who've been at it for decades without getting hurt are simply the lucky ones. Just to prove a point, go ahead and leave a comment if you're an older skater with an injury. I promise you're not the only one. The good news is, skaters are finally starting to take health a little more seriously, and not everyone is waiting until they're 30 to finally start drinking water and stretching. Hopefully taking care of your body becomes a more common trend in skating, that way it's not so crazy to see pros who are in their 30s who are still crushing it. And if you are a younger skater watching this, take this as a warning. Father Time will catch up with you. So eat some vegetables and do some mobility training now so you can get ahead of the curve. Skating way less. Skating way less is something every older skater can relate to. Sadly, as you get older, you have less and less time to spend skating. Whether it be work, relationships, injuries, or other obligations, as you get older, you just have less time to go skate. If you ask the average teenage skater how often they skate, it's likely 4 to 7 times a week. If you ask the average skateboarder in their 40s how often they skate, it'd be impressive if they went more than twice a month. Skating less is just something that happens as people get older. Also, the time of day and the type of session starts to change too. For example, younger skaters might not start skating until it's dark out and might not come home until 2 in the morning. On the other hand, older skaters will be at a park at sunrise and get a quick 1 to 2 hour skate in before they have to get started with the rest of their day, which isn't a bad strategy. Early sessions allow you to get the park to yourself, so you can just cruise around listening to music before it gets too crowded. And if you have Raycon's Everyday Earbuds, which is today's video sponsor, your everyday is made just a little easier. They have active noise cancellation, which is my favorite feature, as well as a 32-hour battery life and multi-point connectivity that lets you pair 2 devices at once. This is perfect for when I'm getting work done and when I listen to some music. The quality of Raycons rivals some of the biggest names in premium audio, and Raycons start at just half the price as the other guys. They also have a quick charge feature that gives you 90 minutes of battery life after just 10 minutes of charging, and they're IP66 sweat and water resistant. I have other earbuds, but these are my go-to earbuds every day. They're easy to use because of how well they fit into my pocket, and the case even has wireless charging. I also got the concrete cover for the charging case, which looks really cool, and it helps protect it from any small scratches. To top it all off, they have a 30-day happiness guarantee, so if you need to make a return, it's pretty easy to do. Go to buyraycom.com/skatebox today to get 20 to 50% off site-wide. That's right, you'll get up to 50% off everything on Raycon's website when you go to buyraycon.com/skatebox. Thanks again to Raycon for sponsoring today's video. Not knowing younger pro skaters. As skaters get older, a lot of them stop keeping up with the skate scene as much. They might still skate once or twice a week, or in some cases once or twice a month, but they don't have the time or interest to watch whatever new skater is popping off on Instagram. This doesn't mean that they don't still enjoy skating or wouldn't enjoy a new skater's video part. It's just that there are so many people coming and going that it's honestly hard to keep up with after a while. Think about it. If you've been skateboarding for 20 plus years, there are literally hundreds, if not thousands of sponsored skaters that have come and gone. People's favorite pros tend to be from the time period they grew up, and as their favorite pros fade out of the industry, many people simply stop keeping up with the new guys. Older skaters might know a few of the current big name pros, but in general, they simply don't keep up with things as much. Also, as you get older, skateboarding becomes less about the actual skate scene and more about the local community. Older skaters tend to just like skating with their friends and don't care as much about what new skater just signed to Nike. Only skating smaller spots. When skaters start to get older, they slowly start to skate smaller and smaller spots. Those 10 stairs become 6 stairs, and those 6 stairs become flat ground. It's not that people wouldn't like to skate bigger spots, it's just that it's not the best decision. If you get broke off when you're a kid, all you need is a breakfast burrito and a cold Red Bull, and you bounce back almost immediately. If you get broke off when you're an adult, not only does it take weeks or even months to recover, but you have to worry about missing work and not being able to pay bills. Not to mention, you also have to deal with doctors and health insurance. Now, the one exception to this is if the skater in question was more of a transition skater. In that case, they can normally skate the same stuff much longer, but even then, they tend to tone down the tricks that they do. I mean, Tony Hawk is in his 50s and he's still shredding, but even he admits that there are certain tricks he'll never do again. It might seem kind of sad, and it honestly kind of is, but that's just a part of life. As skaters get older, they tend to focus on skating smaller spots, but that's better than not skating at all. thinking they grew up in the best era. If you ask any age skater what the best era to grow up skateboarding is, there's a high probability they're going to say whatever era that they grew up in. Skaters who grew up in the 80s think that the 80s were the best. Skaters who grew up in the 90s think that the 90s were the best. And skaters who grew up in the 2000s think that the 2000s were the best. Whether it be the videos that came out, the tricks that happened at the time, the way people were dressing, the brands that were popular, or just the overall skate culture, an older skater is always going to say that their era was the best. For younger skaters, this can be hard to imagine. I mean, think about skating a 10-inch wide board with no nose on it and not having a single skate park for hundreds of miles. That's how most older skaters grew up, and they'll still tell you it was the best time ever. Whenever you grow up skating, how things are just seems natural to you. But when you look back at it, there's just something special about the time period that you were in. Skating slappies. I'm not sure what exactly it is, but as soon as someone turns 30, it's like they automatically become a slappy master. Younger skaters might be better at skating manual pads, they might be better at skating ledges, they're definitely better at skating rails, and they even might be better at skating flat ground. But slappy curbs are the one obstacle where older skaters have a fighting chance. This is partially because slappy curbs are a lot lower risk, so older skaters are able to spend much more time skating them and getting better. The cool thing is that there's a ton of unique slappy variations out there, so slappy curbs allow skaters to still have fun learning new tricks without having to destroy their body in the process. These days you will start to see younger people slappy more, but it's definitely more common among skaters who are over the age of 25. Getting new hobbies. Skateboarders can be known for being laser focused on skateboarding and nothing else. Most skaters live, breathe, and eat skateboarding, and anything outside of skating is considered stupid or a waste of time. As you get older though, you realize that there are a lot of cool things going on outside of the world of skateboarding, and I'd honestly encourage younger skaters out there to try other things on the side. Things like playing an instrument, picking up another hobby, or getting involved in other communities will help you expand your horizons. So many skaters have their entire identity wrapped up in skateboarding, and there's nothing necessarily wrong with that, but it can definitely cause an identity crisis once you get older. At the very least, it helps to have some hobbies outside of skating, so if you ever do get hurt or can't skate, you don't fall into a full-on depressive episode. I think a lot of skateboarders have seen skate friends pick up things outside of skating and eventually quit skating, so they avoid trying new things altogether. But that doesn't have to be the case. You can still skate as much as you want to while living a life outside of just skateboarding. Building skate spots. For some reason, as skaters get older, they become much more willing to build skate spots. This can mean simply fixing up street spots around town, building a small mini ramp in their backyard, or even managing the build of an entire new DIY skate park. The point is, older skaters are just much more willing and motivated to build skate spots. Not only that, but they're also a lot better at it too. As you get older, you get more experience with building things, so the end product tends to be much higher quality. Of course, there are still younger skaters who will build things, but it's not nearly as common, and the final result usually isn't as good. The ironic thing is, as you get older, it's also much harder to actually skate the spots being built, but it's always the older skaters who are the most down to build them. A lot of older skaters are simply building spots because they like to help out the scene, and it makes them feel good to see other people getting use out of it. So if you're not the person who's doing the building, be a homie and offer to help out, or at least chip in some money. Not street skating anymore. When skaters first start out, they practically live in the streets, and most skaters will agree that cruising around a city skating street spots is one of the best parts about skateboarding. Street skating is where video parts get filmed, it's where skills and creativity are put to the test, and it's where character is made. But as skateboarders start to get a little older, street skating happens less and less. Going to a skate park is just a lot easier for older skaters since you don't have to worry about getting kicked out, you're able to skate a wide variety of obstacles without having to drive around the city, and you don't have to deal with all of the other things that come along with street skating. I mean, getting kicked out of a street spot when you're 15 is one thing, but when someone is 38 and the security guard telling them to leave is 10 years younger than them, it's kind of an awkward situation. If older skaters do go street skating, it's usually to a really low-key spot like a slappy curb in a parking lot, and it's pretty rare that they make a day out of skating around the city. This doesn't mean that older skaters shouldn't skate around the city, because it would honestly be sick to see a group of old dudes just skating down the street, but it just sadly doesn't happen very often. When it comes to older skaters, a good quote by the late great Jay Adams sums things up perfectly. You didn't quit skateboarding because you got old because you quit skateboarding.